Hello, everyone. Welcome to XYZ workshop. So, as you know, this is actually the second workshop I would say that I conducted after the software one, and then this is kind of different from software workshop because it's gonna be it's not it's not that straightforward, like telling what software you're gonna to use, Rhino or Rabbit, right? But this is rather a fun exercise. I wish to advocate among young students, especially. That's why Nick and I kind of discussed earlier, and then we thought that this should be specially curated for the undergrad students because we don't want postgraduate students because they are sort of matured and they seen through a certain process. But I think there is a certain beauty for undergrad students to explore this because I think this should be done in the earlier stage so that you can understand a certain measurement in a way you don't have to see a certain standard of beauty as as the universal measurement. So you don't say like, oh, I go to KLCC, then KLCC is beautiful. Doesn't mean that your house is not beautiful, right? So that's the goal that I wish to achieve, and to find the beauty of ordinary things. And also there must be a certain dilemma, like, what is boring, what is beautiful. So today I'm very glad to have Nicholas to share his thoughts and some of his images to go through with us. His perception of travel. I think travel is something that very scarce, especially in times like this. So I thought to find a certain new understanding or layers of perception of travel. So as you guys know, Nicholas is actually a lecturer, and then I'm very happy to have him to share some of his thought. So yeah, and then after the sharing, we will have the workshop. I believe some of you have received the email, but for those of you who didn't, it's very simple exercise. After the sharing, and then we will have like 30 minutes to 35 minutes break. So in this break, you can walk around your neighborhood. Make sure you comply to COVID safety rules. You can take pictures in the objects, the little objects in your home or your room, and then maybe you can walk down the street somewhere near. Don't have to be far, and then come back. You can send me the images, or you can directly upload into this Miro board, and then we can have some conversation about it. So we are thinking about like three images from each of you, and then we can see what do you see in this image, and then what story would you like to tell us about. No pressure. This is not something like an examination, so you can be very casual and we can talk about it. Okay. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop it in the chat box. I will try my best to answer it as soon as possible. Okay. So Nicholas, here comes. This is your time. Feel free to share your screen. Thanks a lot, Nick.
All right, thank you, Gary. Yeah, it's like Gary said, it's just a very casual sharing. So yeah, just sit back and relax. And good morning to those who are joining us. All right, so okay, let's see if I can click on. You're seeing on my screen, right?
Yes. Okay.
Okay. Oh, wait, wrong one. So today's little workshop is a little hint. So in my background, so that's what you'll be seeing today.
It's an old painting, is it? Or is an
It's a
old painting
painting
or
by Canaletto. He is an
of
Italian
Venice?
artist, yes, and he does a lot of paintings on Venice.
Mm, nice.
Okay, all right, let's see.
Okay, let's go.
Yep. Right. So Gary said, travel. Of course, we are all sort of, probably missing these kind of scene. But this was taken in March of 2020, last year, when I was still in London. I was actually coming back to Malaysia at that time. So these were photos I took. Of course, I was showing this because, like a lot of people are probably missing this traveling, and coming down to, and perhaps we should ask ourselves, why do we travel? Why do we travel so much, in a way? Um, and at first when Gary approached me, he wanted me to share about my experience of traveling. Even I mean, like I wouldn't say I'm a heavy traveler, but I do travel a lot, and most of the time, uh, different cities, multiple places, multiple times. But it was a bit difficult for me to actually showcase everything and what I see. Right? So instead, I thought we could focus this on a particular place, which we'll be talking about in the next few slides. Uh, but for me, traveling is about getting lost and sort of to observe the world around us at a different pace, so a slower pace actually, instead of what in comparison to what we do every day. So as there's a little note down below. I feel like traveling is also a very personal journey because each and every one of us have our own sort of uh, experiences and feelings. I cannot specifically tell you, you have to get lost, but this is just my point of view. But I thought getting lost is actually one of the probably the most beautiful thing that you can experience when you're traveling. And when I travel as well, there's a little ritual. So I'm asking, perhaps this is a question that you should ask yourself as well. Like what's your ritual when you travel? And I think all of us have our own little ritual when we travel. Just to give an example, for me, one is of course getting lost while walking. I love to walk, and if I when I arrive to a new sort of foreign place or new city, new town, I would usually get lost and walk. And usually without a map. Nowadays, we don't need map. I'll try to have minimal phone contact. If if any need be, if I'm really, really, really lost that I need to get back, I'll either try to turn my way around to where I am familiar with, or I'll use my phone in emergency. But this is a little ritual that I do in most of new cities that I come in contact with. But as I said, I think everyone has their own sets of rituals. So yeah, little hint, with my background. So I think the best, I would say probably when I wrote this, I think to get lost, probably the best place in the world would be Venice. Just because I think it's also an island, and if you're getting lost here, there's no need to worry because you are within this few islands, and if you really get lost, you can't. There's not much places to run, and you can always turn back. Um, yeah, so this is getting lost in Venice. So Venice is a city that I adored, and I've been to Venice a few times, maybe three, I think. Uh, but again, today's sort of presentation isn't about pretty pictures of Venice. I think I'm just going to show you very few pretty pictures, but these are sort of like the images that you will see from what you know of Venice, or pictures that you see from magazines or online, what people take. The very familiar scene of the canal, of the gondolas, sort of the, the sunset perhaps. And I think one of the reason why I still remember vividly when I was in undergrad, a lecturer was telling me that like when you're in Venice, everything looks beautiful because Venice has probably the lighting in Venice just makes everything beautiful. So this was a very vivid image I have, and after hearing that, I was like, oh, okay, I don't want to experience it because she said like, if you go there, if you take a photo of yourself, you look beautiful just because of the lighting in Venice. But of course, I think the lighting sort of plays a very big part. I think Venice is very beautiful, and I've been to, I think for the three times I've been to Venice, two times is actually in November, and I would say both time in of the November season is also very different from uh, when I've been there. And of
Mm.
course, the third time is actually September. September is slightly less foggy, but more summer, more like end of summer, early autumn. So this is also in November 2010. This is the famous main canal. I forgot the name. I think. And then this is a different sort of vibe. It's September. It's also one of the high season, because November is actually not a high season, because that's when the aqua alta, when it's have that season of flooding. So before I think we start, I thought, if for those who have been, if not familiar with Italo Calvino, so Italo Calvino is a writer, and he has his book called Invisible City, which I thought is a good introduction, because in this book he writes, it's a story between a conversation between Marco Polo and Kublai Khan in Mongolia. And Marco Polo is actually telling him different stories of different cities, but what he actually that he describes is actually one city, and this one city is Venice. So I'm just going to do a quick read. So if you're not following, so this is one of the chapters in the book. It's a city called Dorothea, and he starts with, there are two ways of describing the city of Dorothea. And you can say that four aluminum towers rise from its walls, flanking 7 gates with spring-operated drawbridges that span the moat, whose water feed 4 green canals which cross the city, dividing it into 9 quarters, each with 300 houses and 700 chimneys. And bearing in mind that the noble girls of each quarter marry youths of other quarters, and their parents exchange goods that each family holds in monopoly, bergamot, sturgeon roll, astrolabes, amethyst. And you can then work from these facts until you learn everything you wish about the city in the past, present, and future. Or else you can say, like the camel driver who took me there, I arrived here in my first youth one morning. Many people were hurrying along the streets toward the market. The women had fine teeth and looked you straight in the eye. 3 soldiers on the platform played the trumpet, and all around wheels turned and colored banners fluttered in the wind. Before then, I had only known the desert and the caravan routes. In the years that followed, my eyes returned to contemplate the desert expanses and the caravan routes. But now I know this path is only one of the many that opened before me on that morning in Dorothea. So this sort of text resonated with me, because for the 3 times I've been to Venice, I entered Venice differently. So as I said in this text, there are many different ways of this traveler entering Dorothea. And I think in Venice, there are also that similar multiple way. And if you don't know the sort of geography of Venice, as I said earlier, it's an island. It looks like a fish. And I believe there's the train. There's also buses that you can enter. But the train and the bus sort of share the same road. And then, of course, you can take the plane, but the plane don't land in Venice. It lands slightly away from the island. But you have to take a boat from the airport to get to the Venice island itself. So this is a scene that I traveled. My first time in Venice, I took a train from Milan. It was not a long ride, maybe like 4 hours. And then the photo on the left sort of shows, train on the tracks, and then you got the roads next to it, right? And then this is a train station here in Venice, the main train station. And then, yeah, so this is from the airplane, as you can see. So you would, see Venice from above, and you can see the sort of the say causeway, but the road connecting the island to the mainland. And then, of course, after taking the plane, you would, take the boat, a fast boat, to get you to the main canal in Venice. That's where you would stop. And so this is just some of the scene that you see along the way, entering in and going out as well. Yeah, so I think this is just a last picture of what everyone is familiar of with Venice. You got the main sort of touristy landmark. You got the Campanelli, which is the bell tower, and then you can see from here sort of the fabric or the density of this uh, city with this many different roads connected. So it's a very beautiful sort of say mix of uh, different little buildings and life happening in this small little city. So, so again, that was the last sort of the touristy picture of what you'll see of Venice. Because when I visited Venice, as I said earlier, I sort of start to get lost myself, walk around, and this is probably the first thing that I did when I first arrived in Venice many years ago. And after a few times, I start to enjoy it a bit more. And these are just a few things I extracted out from my experiences of Venice. So again, it's not theoretical, but it's just what I think sort of the components that make Venice Venice. So the first one is canals. Of course, canal is sort of the life of the city. Uh, it's basically where they do business, trades. You got big canals such as this, the main one. Um, you can see all the different transportation going on, all the businesses, tradings, they're moving around. And then you also got the more secondary canals. It's not it's not as large as the main ones. But then you also get, the narrower ones, the different type where, as this one shows, directly connects you to the building itself. And then you got another sort of different type of narrow where you have a pathway and the canal next to it. So these are just some of the ones that I've observed. The next one is alleyways. Alleyways is probably one of my favorite, just because it's the most accessible thing. And this is the first thing. This is probably the only thing that you will access as a tourist if you're not taking the gondola rides. Um, what I like about alleyways is not just because of its narrowness, but it's actually it allows you to experience the unexpected. Because as narrow as it looks, and maybe some of you might think that it's dangerous because some of these alleyways are really really quiet, and you won't know. You would feel like, oh, am I trespassing? Are you walking towards somebody's houses? But I would say like the whole city is like this. So if you're trespassing, then you're basically trespassing the whole island. But it's something that you shouldn't be worrying because it will eventually lead you to somewhere, uh, regardless. And so alleys also comes in different shapes and sizes, different experiences. Yeah, and even under buildings, it connects with different paths, different bridges. And what I said earlier, where it leads you to is actually piazzas or the squares. Eventually, these sort of narrow ways, if you think is you're surrounded by buildings, it will lead you to a square, a place like this. This is the main one. This is the San Marco Piazza, probably the most popular, and it's actually the heart of the city. And that's where every tourist would come and see. Um, but there are also smaller ones. So that's why I said earlier, with these sort of narrow alleyways lead you to this sort of, even though you feel very claustrophobic at the beginning, this path might be long and winded, windy road, you don't know what's happening in front of you, but eventually it will lead you to this sort of open spaces. And it's probably one of the most exciting things because you don't know what you're going to be expecting actually. So experiences are also different, and it's also come in different shapes and sizes. So this one is a bit more happening because there are shops around, but it's also a little sort of open space. And then there are different ones such as this that has with the canal next to it, and again another different one, different piazza. So coming down to details, one of the rituals that I also take when I travel is actually I like to look at doors, windows. So I call them portals, because some of these actually I'm just fascinated with some of these design of it, or the texture of it, or um, uh, the the livability. Like, that this is lived in. It's not a clean, nice looking door, but you got the weathered, uh, you know, uh, pattern of it. You got the traces of where people have touched it. Sort of the scar of the building. So these are just a few of these different portals um, that I can find. I mean, there are tons. I mean, I didn't do a whole mapping, but these are just common scenes that you will see if you're in Venice. So even doors that sort of leads to the canal, um, different windows of balconies as well, um, uh, and yeah, such as this. And of course, I think people is a very important component of any city. And my ritual as well is to people watch, because there are a lot of things, hidden stories that you would look at when you're observing people, like what are they doing, sort of where they're heading, what's going on with their life. Uh, so people in Venice happen on the ground and also up above, where this one is doing some renovation on the roof. uh, and even in this scene, there's so many things happening because there's tourists, there's the guy doing the trolley, transporting goods, vendors, daily people crossing San Marco, because eventually some of them have to come across this piazza. And I decided to put this in because this was in November of 2010. I was walking past, just somehow I stumbled upon this place, and I was like, "Whoa, what's happening with everyone? Like what's everyone doing here with the reporters and everything?" And I think it was only after I found out that George Clooney was actually staying at the hotel opposite, so they're waiting for him and his wife at the time. So it was like the hot scene. So yeah, it's just sort of interesting. And of course, one of the bad things, or one of the issue that Venice is facing, is of crowded sort of tourism. And this is a very common scene, especially in the high season, because you have large cruise ship stopping next to nearby, and then hordes of people will come down. And and this island is a it's not a it's not a museum. It's actually a living place. And to see it like this, sometimes, I feel like, it just gives me second thought in terms of like, why do we travel? Again, the first question I asked. So the last one is actually details. So details, I think we're narrowing down to very specific things that we see. So of course, in Venice, you have sort of these architectural details, very nice details. You see this around the city everywhere you go. Uh, then of course you have details that is, made by people, well, such as this, because this was at the time where they wanted to ban tourists from bringing or dragging their large suitcases. I think that was the time where they said enough of this people dragging their suitcases. And because it's an active living city, so people would gradually, think they have access to everywhere and anywhere. So, like this sign here, this is a court, not a museum, so no tourists allowed. So I think it just questions is like, when you're a tourist, things that you should be mindful of. What are you? Are you a tourist or are you a traveler? So these things are very different, actually. Um, so there are also details such as this, small little things like, ingenious little invention, or I would say innovation from local residents. I don't know if you remember, there was a little yellow plastic bag in one of the scene that I posted earlier. And usually people would leave their trash to be collected on trash day, during trash day. So there's this one, they decided to hang it, maybe perhaps to keep rats or other uh, bugs or insects from eating the garbage. So I thought, these are just very unique things that perhaps you don't see anywhere. And I think this one is also in interesting one. You'll definitely see a lot of clothes hanging between buildings. You might also wonder, like how do you get these sort of clothes over to the other side? I don't know if you can see. It's like sort of like a little pulley system where they would, from the window on the right, they would actually pull the string based on, then it will get clothes back in and out. So it was also a very ingenious system, I would say, but a very sort of common thing that maybe you don't realize or you don't see or you don't notice if you don't look hard enough. And of course, there are also details like this that you can find around the city. I don't think I've seen it anywhere else in Italy, or maybe not the Italy I've been to, but these were sort of very interesting intercom systems. I think they're post-bomb as well, but it's basically the buzzer to the apartment. Yeah. Yeah. So basically, that's more or less, what, yeah, they do look like faces. So I thought I'd end this slide. And again, it's also a article, a passage from Calvino's Invisible City. This is a section on hidden cities. I'll start reading. So this city is on Reza. So in Reza, life is not happy. People wring their hands as they walk in the streets, curse the crying children, lean on the railings over the river, and press their fists to their temples, just like how I was doing. In the morning, you wake from one bad dream and another begins. At the workbenches where every moment you hit your finger with a hammer or prick it with a needle, or over the columns of figures all awry in the ledgers of merchants and bankers, or at the rows of empty glasses on the sin's counters of the wine shop. The bent heads at least concealed the general green grace. Inside the houses, it is worse, and you do not have to enter to learn this. In the summer, the windows resound with quarrels and broken dishes. And yet, in Riza, at every moment, there is a child in the window who laughs, seeing a dog that has just jumped on a shed to bite into a piece of polenta dropped by a stonemason who has shouted from the top of the scaffolding, "Darling, let me dip into it," to a young serving maid who holds up a dish of ragout under the pergola, happy to serve it to the umbrella maker who is celebrating a successful transaction, a white lace parasol bought to display at the races by a great lady in love with an officer who has smiled at her taking the last jump. Happy man and still happier the horse, flying over the obstacle, seeing a francolin flying in the sky. Happy bird freed from its cage by a painter happy at having painted it feather by feather, speckled with red and yellow in the illumination of that page in the volume where the philosopher says, "Also in Risa, city of sadness, there runs an invisible thread that binds one living being to another for a moment, then unravels, then stretch again between moving points as it draws new and rapid patterns, so that at every second the unhappy city contains a happy city, unaware of its own existence." So I thought I included this sort of passage to end this because I thought it kind of also speaks to our situation right now, where perhaps, with this lack of travel, people aren't happy because they're not able to get out. But, what this passage also say, in that small little moment of unhappiness, there's actually a happiness inside us. We just have to um, look for it and seek for it because it is there in us. And even the small little things in life, little things as, enjoying your cup of coffee in the morning, is something that might actually give you joy and give you happiness in life. So, so go ahead and, you know, I think everyone should sort of find a little happiness in life and sort of get lost in it.
Thanks a lot, Nick. I really enjoy the slide. I don't think it's a presentation, but rather it's a very casual, like a coffee time sharing, and then it's just a very casual kopitiam kind of talk about images. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your effort putting up all this together, and it's really beautiful. And these little details that I think often we don't notice about it. I mean, of course, even in travel, even like we don't stay in Venice, but we tend to ignore so many little things. We tend to focus on the piazza. We tend to focus on the famous tourist spot. We depend on the travel website, right? And then there must be a lot of things that, based on our preference to find the beauty in these very peculiar things, but yet make us happy. And I think beauty is the promise of happiness. I think another keyword that I left out in the beginning is actually happiness, and I think that's very important. So before we move on to the workshop, I would like to ask you guys, what do you guys think? Anything to share? Feel free to turn on the camera. Don't worry. This is the only time you can be happy with fun, with the lecturers, with friends around. We don't have. There's no such thing as hierarchy in this case, yeah. So don't worry, we are all learning from each other. Hi, Balkish, nice to see you here. So Walter Benjamin quotes. Okay, William is a very nice quote. Would you like to share that? It says,
Gary.
Sorry.
Yeah. What do we know of curbstones? For what do we know of street corners, curbstones, the architecture of the pavement? We who have never felt heat, filth, and the edges of the stones beneath our naked soles, and have never scrutinized the uneven placement of the paving stones with an eye toward bedding down on them. It's a quote that I find a bit darker, I guess, than what you guys were trying to building up towards, what Nicholas was talking about as well. About the more, I guess, realistic scene on the ground, not as a tourist, but as a in this case, he's talking about the homeless, and the things that they see, and I think you can also find the very mundane things in the city, but they're very charged with these sort of, I guess you think of them as refuse, dirt or trash and rubbish, but they're all part of the city still. And when I use those words, it can be also metaphorical. It can refer to much more than just the physical rubbish, but of the kind of the lowest rung of society. But you can also think of them as our desires, the kind of filthier side of the human condition.
I think
those.
Yeah, on the optimistic side, then some people might think the filthy side is actually part of the beauty. And I often think that, once I came here and then Glasgow is so beautiful, and then when I look at the rubbish at the back lane, I think it's more beautiful because it's more honest in a way. Because we tend to see Venice in very romantic cities, but then what Nicholas showed is like the rubbish, the doorbells, even though they are rusting or they went with the dirts, right? I think that's more honest and raw in a way, and then you can find that more true to Venice itself. So before the workshop, right? I have a lot of questions, but then maybe I would like to the key question I would like to ask the participants, and also Nick you can answer that as well, or William. What is travel for you? And then when talk about travel, this word, right? Can you relate this word to any place? For example, I mean, it doesn't really matter whether it's different country. It could be Penang. It could be somewhere in Pahang, somewhere in Tioman Island. I'm not sure. What do you guys think? I mean, is there any particular place that makes me realize that's called travel? Do you call a market next to your neighborhood a travel? Yeah, I'm not sure. What do you guys think? Friend's house. That's very interesting. So you call it a friend's house. Where's your friend's house?
Next door.
Next door. Everywhere. Okay. How about you, Kaka? Hi. Nice to see you here. Oh.
I think like any place that we doesn't familiar is a place for travel.
Right. Right.
Around
So if someone asks like what the most memorable travel, do you mind to share any place? Like I don't know, Taiwan or Singapore or somewhere in your hometown could be a travel.
might be New Zealand because
Oh.
I'm trip before over there, and yeah, sleep at the car for like about 1 month.
Oh, that's nice. Oh, so you done a road trip.
Yeah.
Nice. How about others like Ethan or De Hui or Jesse? Not sure what do you guys think. Any place would you like to share? No.
Maybe I can share. Yeah.
Hi Jesse. Yeah.
So, yeah, my name is Jessie. So basically, right, for me, traveling is like you get to go to somewhere and the place itself, it amuses you in different way. Maybe it's some place that you go every day, but it still sparks something within you. That's also travel to me, lah. Yeah.
Okay. So is there any particular building would you like to say, or is it school or uni or wet market or hypermarket or shopping mall? Is it something much more memorable for you?
To me, wet market is quite memorable because
Mm.
maybe one of the reason is because the people that I met, because people have different attitude, different mode every day, right? So it still amazes me every time I go to a wet market, the things that I see, the feeling that I experience in the place itself.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
But other than that, I think traveling to overseas itself, there's also different experience to it because there's totally different culture in overseas, right? So
Yeah.
you get to learn different stuff from different countries. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. I think wet market, the one I've been through is actually not the wet market I used to visit, but just so happened because Doris did a exhibition or an event lah in Auckland Road. That one is quite amazing, and then it allows me to understand wet market in another level of perception in a way. So yeah, any words from you guys before we proceed to workshop? Maybe one questions or two, or anyone would like to share the thoughts?
I can share actually.
Hi, Ethan. Yeah.
Hi, yeah. Actually, for me, traveling is more of an escape though, compared to everyone else.
Right.
For me, it's basically, you could say escaping your daily routine. I think traveling is just that simple. For me, it could be just going out to play sports, somewhere to just rest and just escape that sort of daily repetition of the same thing over and over again. Or you could just for that lah, for that aspect where but for me, overseas is so different where I can go to a place where I have, like Nicholas said, no experience, no clue where I am. It's also escaping that sort of tendency of knowing where to go and just going there just to be in the unknown. I think for me, that's what traveling is. Yeah.
Thanks a lot. I think that's quite true. I think that's also part of the objectives I would like to bring out, and then but I would like to restrict down in a way that we don't have to go out overseas to experience this kind of thing, because I think like Nicholas said, it's actually going to get lost and to get familiar with the place that you are not familiar with. I think, like you said, it's like going to sport, right? Even though it might be a sport that you visit like in a weekly basis, but every time you visit is quite different experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, Nick, I would like to ask maybe one question before we move on. How do you see the difference between traveling in Malaysia and traveling in foreign country? And then what are the elements that plays such an important role in this case? Is it because of weather? Is it because of the architectural? Is it because of people? Or is it because of language?
comparing Malaysia and overseas.
Yeah, and then what makes you realize like you are traveling in a foreign place? Because for me, right, when I was traveling to England, and then I'm now in Scotland, right? Even though they are under same thing called UK, right? And then I feel kind of same because they are speaking English, right? But then for you, I'm not sure how do you see like when you. But then when I travel to Amsterdam, I feel like I'm traveling in a sense because the road sign is telling is Dutch and then it's not English. So it makes me realize that this is travel. But I'm not sure about you. Do you think language is rather secondary? Maybe the first one is the weather, or maybe the circulation, or the transport, the facility, infrastructure.
I think language is definitely one. I still remember I was traveling to between Prague, Vienna, and Hungary, three different countries, three different totally language. And just as I was getting used to one, to understand, like the word for chicken, let's say, in one country is another word. It's spelled differently in another. So it's like having to relearn again. But I don't actually see any differences between traveling Malaysia and overseas, though. I think perhaps, it's, as I said earlier, it's more like a personal experiences. And maybe it's because I might have traveled to so many places. I tend to associate weather with places I've traveled. And in Malaysia, sometimes with the right, let's say, environment, let's say with just the right lighting that hits, it maybe reminds me of a time that I was in, let's say, Iceland, for example, or another places. Yeah, so for me, like I start to realize, because having just little details recently, like looking back, I think those are things that sort of reminds me. So I don't find any, for me, I don't find any differences in between overseas. I'm not sure
Okay.
if that was your asking.
Yeah. I mean, there could be no difference, because I always thought the language is the big difference, but until maybe a certain level, you find it is like quite common in a certain sense. It's somehow like all the countries seems to be like unite into one certain country. There's no much difference.
Yeah, but I guess I guess also what I'm trying to say is also the journey that you're taking. I feel like traveling is that journey. Is not the destination of where you're going, but the experiences, the whole process of going from point A to point B.
So if let's say we were able to teleport like right away, then it's not really travel, isn't it? You can teleport from one room to another room, then the whole process of journey, it will be gone. Like you don't have to take train, don't have to take flight.
Well, I mean, like once you get to that space, if you're still traveling, it's okay lah. But unless you're like transporting to another place immediately, then yeah.
Okay, thanks a lot. Thanks. Really, I'm really happy to see your sharing. And it makes me wanted to visit Venice soon, but also at the same time, also wants me to travel in Glasgow or within my neighborhood in a very new perspective. So that's pretty much about the workshop. So we will start the workshop in in this workshop is gonna be like 30 to 35 minutes. So you can turn off your screen, you can walk down the street, you can open the door and then go down to this alleyway, or if you wanted to go down to the corridor, take photos and then pick 3 photos that able to tell us stories. So these three images don't have to be serious, don't have to care about the angle or format, whether it's black and white or whatnot. It's up to you, okay? And then when we come back, you can send me the image if you want. I can help you to upload to Miro, or I have uploaded the link in the chat box. So you can drop the image inside there. So later on, we can have some chat about it and then tell us about the story, about the images that you chose. Yeah. So if you have
Yeah.
any questions for
I just want to add on. I think, yeah. So apart from what Gary sent you or you received in the PDF, I think, yeah, just treat this sort of very casually. Nothing to you don't have to think too much of it. But I thought I wrote down as something for those who want a bit of guidance is to sort of take at least 3 photos. But these 3 photographs should be able to provide a narrative of the street that you live in or the neighborhood or even the space that you're in if you don't want to travel down or walk around your street. So at least when you see these images, one could understand, okay, the experiences of it. But if you're adventurous enough, you can actually perhaps do a map of, of your street or neighborhood, or like the direction or map to tell people where you're living. Right? So in this slide, if you're seeing the screen in the blue, I remember. So this was one of the instructions given to me from a hostel in Venice. It's how you get to the hostel. If you read, actually, it can be quite confusing because, like, okay, so it says here from airport. If you're coming from the airport, you will arrive with the bus to the Piazza Roma. From there, cross the big modern bridge to the train station and follow the directions. Okay, so from the train station, go out from Santa Lucia train station and cross the big bridge. When you're at the top, look at your left, you will see the yellow water bus stop. Okay, Riva di Piazza. So this is a landmark. That's easy. So then from that point, you have to reach. So he says you have to reach about 70 meters. Sometimes you don't know how 70 meters is also, right? So you keep going straight ahead. Once you cross and take the second left, cross the little bridge and keep going ahead on the street to the left of the little white church. Turn left and go back to the Grand Canal. Once on the canal, turn right and keep going to the Impagadero Riva. So this is the street sign. Our door is just on the corner of the street. But if you've never been to Venice, so you know that the street signs is actually high up. It's not on eye level. You have to look up, and signs are not that large. It's visible, but it can also get confusing because there's a lot of turns, right turn, left turn, and some of these alleys are not straight. So, so from this direction, like if you might get flustered if this is your first time getting inside, because you look at the map and you're like, okay, where does it go, and look at the directions. So I thought, if you're feeling adventurous, if you want some time, you can actually draw a map, perhaps, a simplified map that based on the tree photograph or tree scene to tell people how to get to your place from where you.
That's a very interesting task also. So yeah, anyone would like to try that, feel free to do so. Okay. So we will, we can leave this. Maybe you can turn off the camera, and then you can leave the room, and then we can come back after 30 minutes. Let's say 35 minutes. Okay. What time is it in Malaysia? It's 11 o'clock, right? So maybe we can come back at 11:30, and then you can upload the images into the Miro, and then we can have some chat about it. Okay. So any question before we move off to the activity? Make sure you wear mask, okay, if you go out, and sanitize your hand when you come back and stuff. So make sure you comply to the COVID rules, okay? I don't want to be the one who make the whole strategy. But anyway, so have fun, okay? Go out and take photos, and yeah, we will meet back maybe in another 30 minutes. Okay. So yeah, I'll be here anyway. I have uploaded my photos because I can't go out because it's almost 3 o'clock in here, 3 midnight in Glasgow. I'll be here, so you can go ahead. Yeah, you are free to take photos, and then we will meet back in another 30 minutes. Okay. Yeah. Hi, William.
Hello.
Maybe I can talk to you because
Yeah.
you are now in
No time for half an hour.
you can upload your photo if you want, because I took those images when was it? Yesterday. or this morning. So maybe you can upload. Maybe you can. Yeah, let me create one for you.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking if I should take new photos or
You can use the
upload
existing
or-
one. Yeah.
I had an idea for new photos of just around the room,
Can.
but I don't know. Maybe I'm too lazy.
Let me think. I wanted to draw a map also since I got some time. Let me remember this image. The second one is actually George Square. In front, George Square in Glasgow. So this building is actually the town hall. You see this white monument is actually a memorial for the war heroes. And then on the right hand side, this is another huge monument for Walter Scott. Walter Scott is actually a minister of Scotland, maybe the first minister, I think. So now this photo I wish to tell is you can see these people, they are lining up they're planting the flowers because spring is coming soon. So they start to plant some little flowers. And I have a very strong bond with this place because I will spend my time, eat sandwich, just sit on the bench, looking at people, pigeons. And then I have seen George Square in 4 seasons, and I think it's very interesting that it's like my second home. Usually I meditate in a way. I just close my eye and I just feel the atmosphere. Third photo is actually a post box. I think it's very significant, like when you reminds of red buses like coach in London or the red telephone booth in London. And also it's very something very interesting to see this post box also. They have this logo like a crown of queen, I think. You can see this in Hong Kong as well, but then I really like that because now of COVID, right, you have like NHS you have very limited collection time, so it's just a close up of the post box. And then this is a map I drew very quickly. So this is George Square, and then the circle with the plus is actually the town hall. It's pretty much straightforward because from my place now, you just look down and then you can walk along this straight road. You'll get to George Square. And then I note something like Costa at the corner, Queen Street Station, and then this road to my uni, Struck Uni, there's a construction. So this is a very basic mind mapping in a way. And I thought this exercise, I hope you guys can learn something lah, you don't have to produce a very precise map, but a very simple cognitive map, to put the landmark, to
you
understand
go to Costa very often, Barry?
Yeah, I visit, but because COVID now, I only can take away. But I used to dine in Costa and then just have this view across the George Square.
Okay.
Yeah, and then Costa in Malaysia usually is like a vending machine, right?
It's in the Shell station.
Yeah, in Shell station. but Costa here is like a big deal lah. It's like Starbucks lah. They are quite quite a lot. Yeah.
Not Greg's.
Not Greg's. Greg's is like for takeaways lah, like you buy sandwich, but you can't stay there, right? Costa you can stay. So yeah, that's pretty much about it from my side. Thanks a lot. So next we have Nick.
Oh, not going up. Okay,
yeah.
Okay, this is actually down the street. So I just took 3 photos to represent my macro to micro scale. So the top image is kind of like, so my taman is actually kind of secluded in a way. So this is like the main artery that kind of goes around the whole taman. So I always love, I think when we move in, I always love that they have these sort of rain trees on the side. Of course, over the years, they started to plant this thing in the middle. I'm not sure why, but they needed more trees, which I don't think they need. Anyway, but it's quite significant if you drive through it. So this is the thing that you see. And then as you make a right turn, this box, you'll notice this box. It's very obvious. If you drive, you can't miss it. it's right smack in the middle.
Mm.
And then the last one is just more detail of actually the driveway.
This is the driveway. Oh, okay. I thought it's the tiles of the pavement or something.
Yeah, it's the driveway of my house lah.
Okay.
So this thing you won't notice if you drive. So you have to walk.
Yeah, and then the grill, isn't it? The shadow by the grills.
Yeah, the gate.
Lovely. Thank you. Thanks, Nick. Next, maybe we have William. Oh, this one is so. There's a so heavy. This one palette.
It's from 2 nights ago. When it started getting foggy, and decided to go down for a walk, quite aimlessly, and we went around in circles, just seeing whatever, just responding to whatever comes to us as we walk around. And I think I didn't put too much thought to it when I took these photos. It was just I was just enjoying the moment in there. But then looking at it again, I think the first photo, you can see like different scales, even though you don't see the buildings clearly, but there's an implication of a much larger building in the background that you don't even see the sky behind this row of short shop houses or 19th century houses, and behind it there's like this massive thing. It's quite dreamlike, I think, and I wanted to capture that atmosphere.
Is there someone cycling on the last photo?
Oh yeah, there's someone walking. Yeah, good eye.
It's like this shadow here. I try to figure out what was this.
Yeah, in the middle of the road. But yeah, it was a nice walk around.
Was it taken at nighttime? Or?
Yeah. It was like midnight.
Oh, okay.
Wow, this guy's still walking, whoever this person is.
Oh, but this part of town, I mean, yeah, it's where it starts to get a bit funny lah. People are shouting and screaming and whatever.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know why. Some are more really like to scream also. I don't know why. But anyway. Next, maybe we have. Thanks a lot, William. It's a really nice photo actually. Dehui, maybe would you like to share about these three very simple photo? It's like very simple, really simple, but then simple happiness.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So these are the photos that I took just now, and okay. Actually, before this, I would like appreciate a lot because this workshop is giving me like a chance to travel my own neighborhood, because like for me, like traveling is not it doesn't matter like whether it's a new place or a foreign country or overseas. It's all about you stop by and then you keep a slower pace to embrace the beauty surrounds you lah. So yeah, maybe this I think this is throughout this few years. I think this is the first time that I really stop by and take a look on the beauty by my side. And then actually the first photo is I just step out from my doorstep, and then this on porch, and then I just simply took it lah, because actually in this photo there are many greeneries that makes me reminds that the first time I came to KL, actually before this I studied my foundation in UCSI University. So actually studying in UCSI, right, it's more convenient than studying in Taylor's, because Taylor's is very far away from the public transport. I don't know why lah. And then
Yeah.
very
Okay.
easy to travel up to the pavilion or anything else. So during my first year in KL, I really like to travel here and there lah, to go to the shopping mall because like as a kampung girl for me lah, I would always like to leave my hometown because I think there's not much to embrace in this small kampung, and I think that there are much more things to see in the city. So but somehow actually architecture changes my perception, I think, because after I took the architecture course, actually I found it actually beauty is everywhere. That you can't say that oh, skyscrapers is the most fascinating things. There's houses like the third photo, uh just the simple old shop houses that made out of the timber planks, but it's it gives me memories that I used to buy the soy sauce or vegetables for my mom when I was small. So yeah, everything is give me memories about my hometown. And yeah, and I don't know why lah, about the second picture, right? I don't know, it's just me or because I'm living in PGS 7 too. Like it's a residential area, but then there's no cats around there, right? So yeah, there's less animals at the city lah. So but in my hometown there's a lot of I can say that I grew up with the animals lah because there's really a lot of cats and dogs around here that I when I drive out, and I most of the time lah I barely hit a cat or dog on the street lah. So so this really like how to say give me the 亲切感. Yeah.
Okay. The attachment. Okay. Very
Yeah,
nice.
that's all from
Very
me.
nice. Thanks a lot. I think that's also the objective that we try to hit. And then yeah, I hope you enjoy the workshop, and we enjoy your stories, where you come from also, and then the photos that you show us. Thanks a lot. Yeah, so maybe we can move on, and then later on in the end we can have another chit chat. Okay. Jessie, would you like to share your thoughts on the photographs?
The first photo that I take is actually the view towards the lake. So I actually sit there a lot when I'm younger, and now also because I actually travel both places, sometimes in Kajang, sometimes at Bangi. So I happen to be at Bangi today. So when I was sitting, then I was looking downwards. There's actually a gecko. So I just took photo of it because there's a lot of insect and reptiles always in this area. Sometimes if you're lucky, then you see boar. Sometimes you're lucky, then you see some musang. So it depends your luck. So today I spot a gecko here. Then the last photo is actually avocado. So because nowadays there's a lot of fruit in the farm, so I happen to bump into a bunch of avocado. So that's all. Yeah.
Thanks a lot. I think the Hui can consider to move to your place to see more animals. It's very interesting. A very interesting spot that you actually talk about. And then
is the avocado near in your farm or?
It's in my farm. There's actually 10 trees. Then there's some durian, rambutan, mangosteen, cempedak, nangka.
But is the avocado for own personal use, or do you guys sell it in the market?
Sorry?
Do you sell the avocado, or is it for your own personal?
We sell it. My grandfather, he sell it 1 kg for 5 ringgit lah.
Oh, so cheap.
Yeah. So it's like one big basket. Yeah.
Okay. Next time you can.
To him, he's like he's. Yeah. Last time I got bring some to the school and share to my friends. Because to my grandfather, he's like he don't plant it to sell, but he's like he want to share to other people. So normally after he plant, he will just give. But sometimes it's like people 不好意思, so they will pay for it lah. Yeah. Yeah.
They paise to take for free. Okay, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Jessie.
Yeah.
It's really, this is the scene that usually it really can remind me like Malaysia scene. I don't know why. I think a lot of little things here also can piece up like puzzle to structure out my memories of Malaysia. Now I miss home already. Anyway. Okay. Next, Yankit, would you like to share? Oh, it's a very suburban setting.
Yeah. So just now I just travel with my bicycles around my taman. So I thought I just remind my memories, childhood memories. For the first one, which is the garden. The garden beside there is there's a primary school, and from my from my childhood memories this the bus stop station is the place for us to practice our bicycle. Yeah, to learn bicycle as here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it fills out my memories. And then there's a lantern here. It's still, although it's a Chinese New Year celebration, but it's over, but the lantern is still there. I think it's all about the sound of like 3 of the years just hanging at there. And then I found out the place that I stay for around the area is actually is 1 story, and most of the houses is getting to build tend to build into a second floor or first floor, try to extend. Yeah, and
Very
it's the
Malaysian
view.
thing.
They found like the space is not enough, then try to renovate the old house into a new house and do some extension. Yeah, and then this the view face to the Seri Petaling, the new apartment near the control.
The content.
I like this. I mean, in speaking of principle wise, it's like it's like journey, it's like there is a certain contrast, like the short building, and then out of nowhere is a this tall building, and then this road is just like focusing like a datum to the building.
Yeah, actually the left hand side is the Samidi. We don't call it as Samidi, but the houses is bigger than the right hand side. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Yankit.
Yes.
Very nice very nice to hear from you. Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Next, Kaka. Hello.
Hello. Yeah, so this place, my grandma used to like have her breakfast at this place every morning, and also she like to walk around here. So this place is like full of my childhood memories, and every time I came to this place, it's like have the nostalgia vibe, cause it's somehow like projecting me into the time capsule every time I've been here.
Right.
So like intricate the past and the present. And yeah, just now when I go and have a walk, and when I approach to the pastel pastel grill door, I still can hear the uncle, the chit chat dialect inside this shop house.
Oh, really?
And for the Indian uncle, and he also, because we turned into like virtual class, so it's been a long time I didn't like drive out. So the uncle just now when he saw me, he said, "Hey, where have you been? Already I didn't see you," because I always like greet to him every time I met him. Yeah. So those pieces are like a collections of memories or like collection of time layer from me, this area. So yeah, the times like enters and flow in this place. So yeah, is literally is like a time capsule for me.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Mm.
I think
Very nice.
yeah, sorry Nick. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I just thought because one single language that connects all together is the steel panel. And then when I was looking all these images, I can imagine when it's rain and then the sound that it makes when the rain drops on the roof, you know. Yeah. And then that's a very Malaysian thing, also another thing, because in Glasgow the rain is not heavy, it's light. So but in Malaysia it's a monsoon rain is extremely heavy, and then the sound it makes is like enormous.
It's real.
It's
Rain here is
real.
like piss.
It is true. Okay, thanks a lot, Chacha. I think that's a really I hope that also allows you to understand how to tell a story through images. I mean, it's supposed to help you to, you know, to bring out a certain narrative. That's definitely more than just bringing out the sense of visual, but also like sense of smell with flowers and also sound. Yeah.
But I also like the interaction when Jaja mentioned that, you know, like, I haven't seen you for a long time. I mean, Jaja, you haven't been out for so long.
Yeah.
How long have you been stuck in your home?
Okay, thanks a lot. Maybe later on we could catch up again. Okay. Yeah. Hi, Balkis. Now Balkis is now in
Hi.
Langkawi.
Okay, we can hear you.
Okay, I apologize if my voice would be like stuck. So anyway, this is where I am at. I'm in a portion of Gunung Raya in Langkawi, the tallest mountain here in Langkawi lah. But I'm actually at the foot of the mountain. So the first image you see here is when I walk a bit, like, I don't know, maybe 60 seconds from my studio. There's this really big, if I'm not mistaken, a kurwing tree. So this tree actually falls down, it falls its leaf during the kemarau season. So me and my family knew, okay, this is the start of kemarau. But once the wind swept it up, all the yellow leaves, and then it will actually grow back its leaves within 2-3 days. So all you see, the green here is actually a fresh shoots, fresh leaves. Yeah. And it's quite cloudy here, so I can't do my work. I rely on the sun to actually do my blueprints. So yeah, you see is some of the construction debris. We're having construction going on. So like this structure that you see on the middle and the third image is ever growing. It's still we're still building it bits by bits. You know, maintaining our timber structure, replacing a lot of rods. So yeah. On the middle image, you see there's this small roof on the lower bottom. So that's actually my studio. So I was actually climbing up the slope to take this image. Yeah. And I don't know whether the scale is shown here, but this is actually a 5-floor structure, treehouse-ish. And yeah, this is me and my parents exercising every morning to come down, have breakfast. My mom would be I don't know, siram pokok bunga, like maybe taking 2-3 hours to do so. She loved her plants, but unfortunately I can't get more image here.
Sorry, I would like to ask, what's kemarau? Is it drought season, is it?
Yes, kemarau is drought. Yeah.
Drought season. Okay. Yeah.
Drought season. So
which is usually
you don't see is kemarau, right? Because everything is green.
Green.
Yeah. Usually, what time would it be? What months would it be?
It would be this year somehow it started in January, and I'm sure it would go on until end of March.
Okay. Interesting.
So being at the foot of the mountain, we are actually have less sun in the morning during the day. So we're protected by the shadow of the mountain. So that's why you see it's more green here and more cold as opposed to other places.
I I love the
Yeah, it's
structure.
very
It's like this.
architecture.
Yeah, I love the bracing here. It's like a V bracing. This one is really nice. Yeah, thanks a lot, Balkis.
Yeah,
It's a
it's
good tour. Very nice. Can see the construction workers here also. Okay, thanks a lot, Balkis. I think I can't wait to visit this place. And then from these images, I think it also shows a very interesting architectural piece as well. And then most of it is dominated by landscape and trees, right? Vegetations, like they
yeah.
taking part of the building in a way. So it's just maybe on the first
Yes.
2 story. Yeah, it only stands out. Yeah. Thanks a lot. Really nice to see it here. I think okay, maybe I should short. Anyone? Did I left out? No.
No, I think everyone.
Maybe I
Yeah.
should short the screen and then maybe we can have some chat. Okay. How is it? Okay. Right. Thanks a lot, guys. What do you guys think? Actually, I mean, we almost comes to the end of the workshop, and I think I really appreciate you guys the effort and time to put up the images. I think the image doesn't have to be spent a lot of time to take a certain angle, because I always believe that your mind will sort of train you to take a certain angle, whether you wanted to take it diagonally or perpendicular to horizon, or maybe direct, straight or whatnot. I think it's subconsciously telling your brain to take that specific photo. And I really enjoy that, because those photos are not as in like the touristy photo. So, but it tells you this another new understanding of your place. And this is the whole objective, that because we wanted you to explore the neighborhood, especially near the desk, the laptop that you are in now. And I thought beauty is always been a very, we tend to set it up in a very high scale, like high art, like we look at painting and it's beautiful, but then in fact beauty is so subjective that little things or the things that we tend to ignore is actually happening around us. So yeah, thanks a lot for joining, and I really enjoy each stories and also photos from you guys. So what do you guys think? Maybe Nick, would you like to share something?
Maybe others first.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. How about the participants? Yeah. Anything to share from you guys, or what do you learn from this workshop? Or actually, I learned a lot from you guys also, but I just curious, like, what do you learn, and how do you see travel in this sense? I mean, it's a very small exercise. I don't think can be a huge impact in a sense, but what do you think of the sharing or the activity?
Maybe I go first.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, for me, travel is like every time I go to a new place, what left the most impressions for me is the peoples or the community around here, around the areas. So what left the most impressions is the like the interactions or the conversations of me and the peoples there. And yeah, those memory will keep for a long time, not only left physically for the photo, but also the conversations. Yeah. And I also found out this workshop is very benefit for us, because it's been a very long time ever since COVID, so we didn't step out from our room. So yeah, it's a very good explorations.
Thanks.
Thanks for setting up.
Yeah.
Can call on in, whatever. It seems like the Hui wants to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Mind
maybe
sharing.
Yeah, feel free to unmute yourself and then. Oh, Yankit, yeah. Sorry.
I share some of my because I feel like this workshop like very benefit to me since just sit in front of the computer for a long time, but now is a good time for me to have some of the exercise like 30 minutes. Go out and and cycle around the garden. Actually, there's something changing around our side. Yeah, you just don't realize. So yeah, it's a quite experience. And travel, we love the travel. Uh, Although it's just around our place or for outstation or some other country, it's very good experience. And I think travel is not just see the beautiful things. We try to understanding the culture and the social behavior of the site. Yeah, it's quite good experience.
It's very interesting
Yeah.
you mentioned social behavior. That's a big word, but then it could be well manifested in the objects that you took. Like, why there's a certain car park that direction? It's not like this, you know. why is it not? Why is it a black car? Why is it a white car? I think it's a very interesting also. It's sort of like reflecting someone's choice.
Yes.
And then we just we just can't explain it. It just so happened. Yeah. Okay. Tehui or Jesse?
Um, for me, as I said just now, this is a really great experience lah because uh that I never traveled my own neighborhood. So this is the first time I spend time really to explore the things around me. That I found it's interesting to like explore the new things in the old place. So yeah, it's quite interesting to explore the beauty in my own neighborhood. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah, it's really glad to hear that also. Yeah, I mean the photos are from Ipoh, isn't it? It's some part of Ipoh or BJ7 or something.
Oh, my kampung is called Gunung Rapat.
Gunung Rapat.
So as you can, yeah, the gunung is really rapat. The hills is surrounded my place lah.
Okay.
There are many caves in Ipoh, the Sambotong, Gua Tempurung, all that. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks. I think Ipoh also famous for his landscape and also water. I think that's very interesting. And then I really like the shop houses photo. I think it's a very I hate to say it's vernacular architecture, but then that scene, it really throws back this kind of very traditional way of construction, not just architecturally, but the colors, especially like different kind of shop house, they will put up different kind of colors, like painted in different kind of colors. It's like rainbow, and then along the way you can see why they put pink color or yellow color, things like that. Yeah, it's a
I
very
feel like you can say it's vernacular though. It's very
vernacular.
this town. Interesting.
What's that called? The town? Is it called Gunung Rapat?
Gunung
Also?
Rapat. Kampung Gunung Rapat, right?
Or Kampong Gunung Rapat?
Yeah. Yeah. Can.
Can. You want.
It's near the airport, right? Is it?
No.
Not that one.
I don't know whether Gunung Rapat is a kampong actually.
Because in the Google map, I search is Kampung Gunung Rapat.
Yeah.
Is it near the airport? It's near the airport? Okay.
No, it's not near the airport.
Is it? Is it a
I'm
different kampung?
near the Gunung.
But then I like the Chok Hai Li, the Hai Li Hao is the brand, the shop name. Yeah. Thanks a lot, Hui.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah. How about Jessie?
Actually, through this session, right, what I experienced is that we always stay at our home because studio time, it's like every day you need to face your laptop. You didn't get to travel much, but through this workshop itself, you get to see different people staying at different places as if like you already traveled to that place. So yeah, it's quite beneficial in a way. Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
That's
Yeah. I think it brings in this kind of natural environments also, while we, bring in this kind of diversity of content in a way, within landscape and water, barely see any man-made structures. Yeah, it is quite interesting.
Actually,
Photogenic.
this site is actually very close to my semester 4 site, the Pasar Bangi Lama. It's actually near to there. So it's actually open for people to just go visit. If they want to plug anything, they can just plug. Then, yeah.
Nice. Thanks a lot. Thanks
It's
a lot,
very nice.
Jesse.
I do like agree with Balkis. I like the gecko shot. It's looking at you.
Maybe the laser
Yeah.
can piece or something. I wanted to take photo.
Yeah, the thing is, he just stared at me for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Then
Scary
he's not
shit.
moving. So I just take a photo.
Yeah. It's really interesting also.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, like what everyone said earlier. I think sometimes we because these are probably things that you see every day, right? And then I think for some of us, we just take it for granted most of the time. Because, but actually taking down, slowing, and then taking a photo of it, and kind of you're capturing that moment, right?
But then it's familiar for you, but it's not for us, right? Because for me, I don't understand your neighborhood, and then if then it could be saying that if I go to your place, I travel to your place in a sense. So that's also another note that I took from this workshop also. I learned from you guys, because I never been to like Gunung Rapat or Langkawi, and sorry. So if this kind of very refreshing perspective.
Yeah, I mean, it's a quite a diverse crowd unexpectedly, which is nice actually. Expected, unexpected.
Sorry, is my Miro going offline, or is it happen to you guys? Or not sure, because it says maintenance happening.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah,
offline.
I think
You cannot do anything.
happening.
Yeah.
Okay.
You cannot use it. Yeah.
But I think could I just if you don't mind, I think it feels like a survey of our collective memories.
Yeah.
And I think it's quite nice because it gives you an insight into differences, but also some kind of commonality. I think the Hui's clubhouse kind of photo, you can think of it like it's a building type that you can find in even in KL, right? But it manifests itself differently in KL. In KL, it has probably 2-3 more stories above. Will have a certain construction, more concrete kind of construction. The spatial relationship that you have inside is still understandable. It's still relatable. So I don't need to go to Gunung Rapat to sense that I can really feel it. And similarly with all the others, like what Jesse and Kaka showed, it manifests itself in different ways lah. So I think it's quite nice to see all of this, and it reinforces our notion of what this idea of place is as well. The everydayness of things, which is also one of the reasons why I didn't want to join as a participant, Gary, because I get too But yeah, anyways.
We can talk more later on. I believe because you shared some author's name lah. Maybe later on we can talk about it more. Yeah, thanks a lot, William. I think it's very, very interesting. You did mention is this kind of universal feel. What the Hui show, right? The shop houses, right? Actually, I can see in my hometown also, but it's just that it's different because the brand is not gonna be chopped highly. It's not gonna be there, right? Because it's only very unique to Gunung Rapat. But then, in speaking of vernacular architecture, it appears all around in Malaysia. You can spot in different kind of places. But then even though it's a same building type, but the customization and also this kind of participation from the local community is very unique, which you can't find anywhere, but the building type is so universal. Yeah, so thanks a lot.
But I
Maybe
think
last-
also the narrative behind it helps as well, or even how the photos are composed, from the way, the story behind. Now, like she said, buying the ketchup, right? from the store. So like what William said, like, there's all these memories also, included in the photos, which is, it adds another layer of information.
That's a very very good word. Collective memory. That's a very good word. Yeah.
Not my word, but
how about you, Balkis? Maybe before we close up the session.
Yeah, I really enjoy. I wish I was more prepared to share or to choose which 3 images. But I hope that, like, for everyone, it becomes like a challenge, like you challenge yourself to give enough story or enough information with just the 3 image. And like as everyone mentioned, like that the challenge is to look in the beauty in the ordinary and things that you see every day. But I think once you tell the story to others, right, it feels like, hey, that is actually quite interesting. Or maybe when you listen to others sharing, oh, that particular shot, like, it's so beautiful because you took it, alongside with, between the scale of a car and then bicycle, and like, yeah. So I realized a lot of things could be seen in a different way if only you challenge yourself to look with what you have, with the limitations that you have in this isolation. So yeah, thank you, Gary. Thanks, Nick, and everyone for sharing.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone, actually. Yeah. Okay, like Nick, Mr. Speaker.
For what?
Would you like to conclude or anything you would like to share?
I share already, just now.
Okay lah. but I think because I was telling Nick, like, is it possible to, because I was quite inspired by his personal journey, the study in the state and then traveling around the world kind of thing, right? And then after that we come to a conclusion that why don't we just talk about Venice, and then how does that bring up to, and then to relate to us, like wherever we are now. And the result is quite surprising in a way, because I didn't expect so much diversity, and diversity as in not just about the angle of what you took the photo, but it's actually curated and also display a certain character of you, because you can only take that 1 millisecond of that photo. Maybe the lizard will not be there anymore, right? But that photo will be kind of like that freezing of that particular moment. And then at the point of time, you also weave in this kind of narrative into your photos. And I hope that you guys enjoy the workshop. So thanks a lot for the sharing from Nick as well. Very delicately placed, compiled together, and also excellent presentation, and also the sharing. And then later on, we combine this. I can definitely see how these pieces come together along with the photograph from the participants. I learned a lot from you guys also, and I feel like I travel to your place at the same time. But of course, travel is not limited by our visual and also what I learn. There must be paired with what we smell, what we touch, and the senses. So I hope that I hope you guys learn something, and feel free to share this experience with your peers, and then to continue motivate others and enlighten others. Yeah. So I think that's pretty much it from my side. Anyone would like to add any final thoughts? Or okay, maybe I should stop recording. Okay, and then this is now our